So, Madagascar's president Andriy Rajoelina has fled the country after weeks of escalating protests against his rule. The demonstrations, driven largely by Gen Z activists, reached a breaking point on Saturday, 11 October. Here, an elite unit of the military joined the protesters and demanded that the president and several ministers resign. So how did we get here? Before entering politics, Andriy Rajoelina was best known as a charismatic DJ who built a thriving media empire. His popularity and sharp media instincts soon propelled him into politics. In 2007, he was elected mayor of Antananarivo, Madagascar's capital, where he quickly became one of President Marc Ravalomanana's loudest critics. Tensions between the two leaders escalated when Rajoelina's television station was shut down by the government in September of 2008. In response, he held mass protests that shook the capital. By February 2009, Ravalomanana had removed Rajoelina from office, but the move only fueled public anger. With the backing of the military, Rajoelina declared himself president the following month, forcing Ravalomanana into exile. The takeover was condemned internationally as an unconstitutional coup, but domestically, it marked the rise of a new and ambitious political figure, Andriy Rajoelina. Talks to form a transitional unity government with other Malagasy leaders eventually broke down. And so, in November 2010, Andriy Rajoelina pushed through a new constitution via a referendum. Barred from running in the 2013 presidential elections, he instead backed Harry, that guy who took office in 2014. When Rajoelina first assumed power in 2009, he promised to lift living standards for ordinary Malagasy people. But that was no small task. Madagascar, home to about 30 million people with a median age under 20, remains one of the world's poorest nations. And according to the World Bank, its GDP per capita fell by nearly half between independence in 1960 and 2020. Anyways, after stepping down in 2014 as head of the Transitional Authority, Andriy Rajoelina returned to power in 2018, winning the presidential election and once again promising to transform Madagascar's fortunes. As Madagascar struggled to recover from the economic and social fallout of COVID-19, President Andriy Rajoelina became known for bold and often controversial claims. In 2020, he championed a herbal drink called COVID Organics, claiming it would cure the virus within days. This particular remedy, made from local plants, was promoted across Africa despite the lack of any clinical evidence. Andriy Rajoelina's flair for headline-grabbing ideas didn't stop there. In 2022, he told a room of international investors that Madagascar was ready to offer tax exemptions to anyone willing to import giraffes, zebras, and elephants from mainland Africa. This was an attempt, he said, to attract tourists. Well, this plan was never implemented. But beneath the grand gestures, corruption and governance issues continued to weigh down on Madagascar. Between 2012 and 2024, Madagascar slid from 118th to 140th place on Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index. In response, Rajoelina's administration claimed to be strengthening anti-corruption efforts, tighter financial oversight, digital reforms, and greater transparency. His 2023 re-election, however, was marred by unrest. Opposition leaders accused him of manipulating the system to stay in power and argued that he should have been disqualified after secretly obtaining French citizenship in 2014. Protests erupted for weeks ahead of the vote, setting the stage for the instability that would soon engulf his presidency. Meanwhile, ordinary Malagasy citizens struggled to survive amid constant power cuts and water shortages. Tensions in the country began to rise after the arrest of two prominent city politicians on September 19, 2025. They had planned a peaceful protest in the capital, Antananarivo, to demand action on the worsening electricity and water crises. Across the city, daily blackouts stretched for hours. The state-owned utility company, Jirama, became a symbol of government failure. Many saw the arrest of these figures as an attempt to silence dissent. Public anger spread quickly. Civil society groups rallied in support, and a youth-led online movement calling itself Gen Z Mada emerged as the face of the resistance. Soon, the protests grew beyond Antananarivo. Demonstrations erupted in at least 8 other cities across the island. The banners were simple but powerful: end corruption, fix the blackouts, and give the people their dignity back. Others accused the government of doing nothing for 16 years while enriching itself. Their movement echoed similar Gen Z uprisings across the world, from Nepal to Morocco, where ruling elites had also faced public fury. The protests in Madagascar turned deadly in their early days. The United Nations reported that at least 22 people were killed, some by security forces, others during looting and clashes. President Rajoelina rejected those figures, claiming there were only 12 confirmed deaths. All of them, he said, were looters and vandals. Rajoelina's grip on power began to crumble when he lost support of CAPSAT, the elite military unit that had helped him seize control in 2009. Over the weekend of 11 October 2025, surreal scenes unfolded in the capital as soldiers marched side by side with protesters, even refusing to fire on them. CAPSAT announced it was siding with the people.
A military unit in Madagascar says it's taking control of the armed forces, and it comes as dozens of soldiers have joined protests calling on President Andriy Rajoelina to resign.
From now on, all orders of the Malagasy Army, whether land, air, or the Navy, will originate from CAPSAT headquarters. Furthermore, we invite the Malagasy people and all of those in the General Staff to work together to protect the people and the property for the good of all and for the homeland.
The colonel told reporters that the army had simply answered the people's call. He denied that this was a coup, but while the symbolism was clear, the military no longer stood with the president. By Sunday evening, 12 October, CAPSAT declared it was taking control of the military and named a new army chief. President Rajoelina, in turn, warned that a coup attempt was underway in his country. The presidency released a statement condemning the move as an assault on the constitution and called on the loyal forces to defend the government. But this call fell on deaf ears. By Monday 13, even parts of the paramilitary gendarmerie had joined the protest. They even held a formal ceremony in the presence of senior officers to announce their support for the uprising. Amid the chaos, the president of the Senate, already a target of public anger, was dismissed. Jean-André Rajoelina was appointed to fill the role temporarily. Under Madagascar's constitution, if the presidency is vacant, the Senate leader assumes office until new elections are held. So where is Andriy Rajoelina? Well, a senior military source reported that Andriy Rajoelina had fled Madagascar aboard a French military aircraft on Sunday 12 October. In a late-night address on Monday 13 October, Rajoelina said he had been forced to find a safe place to protect his life. You know, this speech was meant to air on national television, but was delayed for hours after soldiers tried to seize control of the state broadcaster's headquarters. Eventually, this address was streamed on Andriy Rajoelina's official Facebook page, and it clearly showed that the president was indeed in hiding. But well, in his address, Rajoelina remained defiant, calling for dialogue to find a way out of this situation, and he urged all sides to respect the constitution. But for all intents and purposes, I think Andriy Rajoelina's time as the head of state and president of Madagascar is done. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been Tatenda for African Biographics. Until next time, cheers. Have a good one.